Hey, what's up you guys? My name is Brooke and I am from a small little island in Canada called Prince Edward Island. Now, not a lot of interesting things really happen in PEI. So, if you look back, like nowadays, if you look back in our history, you can find some pretty crazy, scary things that did happen, including the unsolved mystery of Anne Beaton that happened in the 1800s. Now, it was around 1859 that it was in a Gaelic speaking community that happened. She was an unwed widow, or not widow, but she was an unwed mother, sorry, of an infant little boy. The name is unknown. Anyways, it was in the settlement of a thriving community where there was lots of farms and businesses and lots of homes and everything. Back then, it was considered a sin to have a child out of wedlock. And Anne was shunned by her community for having the child out of wedlock. And it said that one of the men in the community, they're not sure who it was the father of the baby. Now, Anne would always go to a fella's name. It's a family, and they were the McPhersons. And she would walk there usually every day, and she would have tea or whatnot with them. And then on May 12th, she walked there, and they would weave cloth. So she was getting cloth made for her brother Murdoch, who she lived with her child on the farm. So on May 12th, in 1958, Anne walked a mile. She would walk a mile every day. She walked a mile to the McPhersons' household, and there she had a cup of tea because she was picking up the cloth that they weaved for her for the gift for her brother. So she had her cup of tea with the family, and she left around sunset. Now, it was said to be a very foggy night that night, which we have a lot of foggy nights here in PEI. If anybody knows, like, that's from here, they know that. Anyways, everyone in the community was always told to always take the main road. Don't ever go into the hollow when you're like at nighttime at least. Now, and she was believed to go into the hollow that night after sunset when she was going home to the farm. Now, it's believed that that night she was followed. She was followed into the hollow, but they actually believe that she was killed on Settlement Road, which is where they believe she died, but she wasn't found on Settlement Road. So here's the kicker. She was actually found in a different hollow that was behind her brother's farm. Suspicious, right? So get this. On May 14th, which is 2 days after Anne went missing, her brother found something mangled and went screaming to the community, "Na Chinak me," which is Gaelic for "I've seen something." And after being identified, Anne's body, she was laid out in a barn, which the community, like all the adults in the community, they had to gather around and they had to touch her body, okay? And the reason that they had to touch her body was it was a Scottish belief that the guilty party, which would be the murderer, if they touched her body, then blood would spur from her body, and that would show who the killer was. Now, it was said that Anne was beaten to death by a grubbing hoe, which is a garden tool. And that grubbing hoe actually belonged to a man named Archibald Matheson, who lived on the Settlement Road where she was allegedly murdered. Alright? So, his family was then arrested, and they were taken into custody, but they were soon released. Now, 28 depositions were made by Anne's neighbors, saying that Archibald had accosted them, and he had a reputation, alright, in the community, which is ridiculous. And, like I said, Anne was an unwed mother, so she was shunned. And a lot of people in the community would tell their wives to keep Anne out of the house because it would prevent ill will with the neighbors, because they looked at her as if she was just a monster. Now, after Anne's death, there was a lot of rumors that went by. For instance, the main rumor was that she was killed by a jealous wife that found out that he was the father of Anne's child. Now, there was a couple investigations that happened, but nothing was ever to come about these investigations. They never found the murderer, which is just baffling to me because there's so many witnesses, and just because no blood spurted out of her body when people touched her, they automatically think that no one in the community was the murderer. So nowadays, if you look up at the hollow where Anne's body was found, it's just this wild, overgrown, beautiful field. And it's always said that at night she appears and people can see a woman in distress. But as they get closer to her, she fades. And it's also said that cars have stopped working, their engines have died, they can't get them to start. Like, it's just weird. And at nighttime, if you walk on that road, you just get this horrible feeling of apprehension. So, mainly anxiety. Like, you could feel the anxiety that she felt that night that she died. And nowadays, it's been renamed to Lindale, and it's by Orwell Coroner in Prince Edward Island. And Anne's story has been told so many times throughout the years. Like, it's just insane, and people are saddened that she never got the justice that she deserved. And it's just, it's crazy. I wish she would find peace. But that's all I have for you guys today. So I really hope you enjoyed my video. I'm going to be doing these more often. So if you like it, please let me know. And subscribe, share, and repeat. Talk to you later.